Thank you very much for joining us for another episode of Film Club. I'm one of your hosts, Andy Harrison. To my right, as always, it's oily Andy Dalton.
Fuck.
They won't get that reference.
No.
Every single week in Film Club, we bring you another film. We dive into some of cinema's best and figure out whether or not it's still worth talking about.
He did the intro because we had to recut it again.
Don't tell them that.
So,
This week, we have been watching... When was the last time you did a drum roll?
your face.
We have been watching Looper from Rian Johnson.
Rian.
Of Rian Johnson. Andy, give us the rundown. What is Looper about?
Oh God, why do you always do the fuck? Why is it always me? Time travel again. So it's time travel exists, but it's not actually made yet. It's set in the past or the present. It's called it the present, not the future.
It's set in a slight future.
It's set in the future for us now, but it's in there. It's their present. Time travel hasn't been invented yet, but people are arriving from the past. From the
future.
People are arriving from the future. So in their present, people are arriving from the future, yet they can't alter time travel in their lifetime. A looper is someone in the... Oh my God.
Do you know what hit me?
So
you know when you're
hard.
talking down here,
It's so
you know
hard.
when you normally do the intro, and I'd cut like kind of clips to be like, oh, this is what he's talking about. What am I going to do with that?
It's set in the present, in their present.
It's all right, we'll pass that.
People arrive from the future, they kill the people from the future, and the reason they send them back is it's hard to get rid of the bodies in
Bada
the
bing,
future.
bada boom.
That's all I need to say.
Yep.
That's fucking solid.
So, you've seen Looper before.
And he hasn't.
I haven't.
This is really interesting because I know, obviously, the ending.
Yep.
And I know how it built up to it, and I was thinking, ooh, and
Yeah.
Whereas you were like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What do you think? Let's go for
we did this because it's Rian Johnson, and he's
Rian.
the guy who, if you don't know, is directing or has directed the new Star Wars film. New Star Wars film right now being Episode 8.
And he's most likely to do the third one.
Yeah, there's talk about him not doing the third one, but doing the first of the
He's
next
wrote
trilogy.
the third one.
Is he really?
I think so.
Really?
I'm pretty sure he's had a lot of input on the third one.
I know J.J. Abrams is back for the third one.
Fuck off.
Yeah, I'm sure we had a conversation about this recently.
Either way.
So,
Let's
kind of
discuss it at Steak
curious
Club.
to see what his style was going to be like. You know, how do I feel about this guy taking the Star Wars reins? Looper is a really interesting film. It has it's got a lot of kind of Spielberg-y elements to it. It has this tone which feels kind of like classic Spielberg mixed in with more of a modern sensibility. Like I'm talking about Spielberg from like the 80s.
Or like E.T. and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's got kind of that sort of vibe. It's got a script which really tries to do something different and unique.
Yes. And he wrote it as well, by the way.
It's got a wonderful application of like practical effects. It's great to see like so many practical effects. One of the things which actually made me a little bit hopeful for like the whole Star Wars thing was like this guy seems to like his practical effects. I hope he goes in that direction because there is a fair amount of digital effects in this as well, which I hope he starts to slice out.
Oh, really?
You can't. I mean, you can't get rid of that for Star Wars, can you? But
Okay, so I was really curious. One thing I was curious about is, let's just jump into it. The use of CGI in Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
not CGI. Practical effect.
Fuck off.
Yeah, it's all makeup and prosthetics. It's amazing, isn't it?
I thought it was CGI.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen the film, basically what
What?
they did was, for Joseph Gordon-Levitt, he's meant to represent a younger Bruce Willis.
That's
So
well played.
They did makeup and some prosthetics to make him look, his facial features to make him look more like Bruce Willis. Funny enough, when we were watching this, Natalie was like, is that Joseph Gordon-Levitt? I was like, yeah. Because she picks up way more on people's facial structures being a photographer than I do. And I was like, yeah, of course, it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Like, you can kind of roughly see it's him, and like it sounds like him, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And she was like, hey, is it? I'm not sure. Is it? I'm not sure. Like, why does he look so different? And then I kind of gave it a quick Google. Cause like, I'm just going to make sure I'm not being an idiot here. And like, it is Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Give it a quick Google. Like, yeah, it's him. So why does he look so different? Like, I had a brief thing. I was like, oh, of course, it's because of the whole thing with Bruce Willis. But she turned to me at that point and went, what do you mean, Bruce Willis? I was like, oh no! Oh no!
I love how Natalie becomes the source of comedy during film club. Like Shannon wakes up halfway during a film, or like has this incredible point to go across, and it's just like,
I felt so bad for spoiling it. I was like, I know it's not
Oh,
the end.
my
It's
days.
it's not the end sort of twist. But I was like, I felt so bad for just ripping this because I remember the trailers for it, but she clearly doesn't.
That's funny. That's funny. Well played, Natalie, like that. So what Andy was saying about there is the use of, can't believe it, practical effects in how it looks. You can't just attribute the character to just looking like Bruce Willis. You've got to take a heavy look into the acting of Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
He takes like a lot of shared mannerisms.
Second to none. He's basically, it's really interesting because you've got, with respect to the guy, you've got Bruce Willis being Bruce Willis, and you've got Joseph Gordon-Levitt being full-on character actor. Is that the phrase to use?
Yeah.
Is it, what's Anthony Hopkins? Anthony Hopkins? Kind of an actor is he?
Legendary.
Of course, legendary. What is it, him and Christian Bale, kind of, what they call their type of acting?
Oh, you mean like method acting?
Yeah, so is it method acting where you spend ages in that role and you try and be someone?
Yeah, method acting is where like you kind of, so on set you might not break persona. And also it's like method acting is where you take some of your own events that happen in your life and you apply them to the way in which you
right,
perform.
okay. Well, it's slightly different to what I was thinking. Great character acting from Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So the way he's looked at Bruce Willis, looked at the way he's acted, looked at his facial expressions, looked at his mannerisms, the way he speaks, the way just everything about Bruce Willis, and has applied it to his acting. And you see these like,
he's definitely doing the heavy lifting of the two.
Absolutely.
In terms of like mimicking the other.
And again, no disrespect to Bruce Willis, he's class. But
it was Joseph Gordon-Levitt that was signed on first as well.
Is that right?
Yeah, they signed Joseph Gordon-Levitt and eventually went on to sign.
It just shows, to me, it just shows. I mean, we love Joseph Gordon-Levitt. We've watched a few of his films.
It's a great actor.
500 Days of Summer, great actor. But for me, this is one of his best performances, if not up there at top. Because what he's done there, for me, is just like second to none. It's genuinely unbelievable what he's done. And it's just how it plays out. And even towards the end, you see that scene towards the end where, he's running after and he's trying to get them and he puts his musket the other way around.
Yeah.
And he plays Bruce Willis right towards the end.
So, while we're on topic of actors, there's one person I want to give a real kind of nod to.
Paul Dano?
Who's that?
Paul Dano's his mate.
No, the kid. Well, actually, his mate.
The kid?
But the
fucking
kid.
Damien.
The kid's awesome.
He scares this living shit out of me.
Yeah, and even in the moments where he has to be like more vulnerable and kind of like melancholy with things, he's really good. Like for a kid, I mean, there's certain lines where you can kind of see how they've directed him, but he's great for a kid. He really sells it.
His when he gets angry is so believable, because it's fucking, some of it is quite terrifying.
Yeah.
So no, he does class. There's that scene where he obviously he's angry when he's falling down the stairs and he's shouting at the mercenary guy.
Yeah.
But then there's that scene, I think it's just at the
one that got me was the first one where he shouts at his mum and she goes into the safe. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you going into a safe? And then you kind of find out why she was going in the safe later on.
Okay, so that's really interesting. I think this is a really interesting point in both our perspectives of watching this film, because I'd seen it before. I knew what this kid is capable of and everything like that. I know we're on acting at the moment, because I just want to just make a fucking shout at Rian Johnson's use of horror. He does horror so well. And like, you might be like, oh, what do you mean this is really horror? Fucking right it is. Watch that kid, and when you watch this film again, watch that scene where she's so fucking scared. It's her kid, she's so scared. She goes into a fucking safe. Am I right in that that's the same safe that features an Ant-Man that's supposed to be super sturdy?
I've got no idea.
Do a double check there, and then with your try to be funny comments.
Are you going to make me go and watch Ant-Man?
No, you've already... It's the safe scene, it's easy.
Oh, fucking Ant-Man. Ugh.
Anyway.
Hey, Ant-Man.
There's the other part of the horror where it's, what's his name? Paul Dano's older Paul Dano. That's not Paul Dano.
Yeah, the one that runs away.
When he starts fucking losing shit. I've never been so creeped out, like, oh my God, what the fuck's going on?
It's got almost like a Cronenberg sort of like horror element about it, hasn't it?
It's, Cronenberg horror is...
Like The Fly is like body horror.
Yes, body horror. But it's like, it's not even, it doesn't really do much. You see a bit of scarring on the face. All you do is it's probably get, in real life, there's no like special effects, there's no saw like stuff and all that.
Yeah, it's not like you see his nose
it's
like
a bit
fall off or
yeah.
anything. It's more, you're kind of thinking, oh my God, where's this coming from? What are they doing to him?
Exactly.
And you start thinking,
exactly.
oh God.
Like, that's horror for me. That's my kind of horror. I know we were on about Halloween a few weeks ago where I can't do, what's the thing you and Bob called? Puppies. I can't do slashers. Can't do puppies. Can't do slashers. If you want that kind of horror, you've got to do that kind of stuff where it's just, it fucks with your mind.
It does.
Taking a step back and going, finishing up on acting, Emily Blunt.
Yeah, she's good.
I like it. I really appreciate how much she goes American into this. Because when I see Emily Blunt, up until this film and up until Edge of Tomorrow, which have you not seen?
No, not yet.
God, it's a fucking good film. If you like that, if you like Emily Blunt, go and see that against Sci-Fi.
Edge of Tomorrow got lost with me because of that weird naming issue it had. And I was like, what is going on with this film?
Get past it because it's a good film.
Yeah.
Get past it. She's done really well, but I before I struggled to see her outside of The Devil Wears Prada, which is a great film. Fuck off everyone else that disagrees. And she's class in Devil Wears Prada. She's proper like, oh, British and all this. And then she just does this American badass in both this and Edge of Tomorrow. It's class. So well played to her.
British people always better at doing American accents than Americans doing British accents.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's true.
Yeah.
So, problems. I got some.
I've got one.
And it's first off, internal logic. The film's own internal logic of how time travel works, they break their own rules.
It's no Primer.
So, yeah, Primer's a wonderful example because Primer sticks to its own rules. And it's better off for it. It's really clever, Primer. This gets close, but fails in a lot of ways.
Which part?
So, early on, they make a weird sort of time travel rule, right? Which I wasn't sure about, but if that's the rule it's setting up, I was like, okay. The bit you're talking about, the body horror thing.
Anything that happens to the original happens to the old one.
Yeah, they established this idea that if we chop off a finger, then future person, their finger suddenly disappears.
Yeah.
Which, first off, isn't how time travel would work. They would grow up without that finger and wouldn't suddenly miss it.
Who are you? Are you Einstein about time travel?
At that point, I was like, okay, I'll get on board with their logic.
Yeah.
And I'll accept that. But then their whole mission leads up to Joseph Gordon-Levitt killing himself.
Yeah.
Which makes Bruce Willis disappear.
Because he doesn't exist anymore.
But that's not how that works. Because
how does it not work?
They just made a point of
they chopped the finger off and the finger doesn't exist anymore.
No, he should have fallen down dead. The finger existed. He still
exists. It didn't exist. You look at his finger and it's gone.
But what if something has a consequence? It would have a ramification. Yeah?
Right.
So if Bruce Willis never existed, then as soon as he didn't exist, everything he did wouldn't exist either.
I see.
So they shouldn't have been standing in that field anymore.
I see. That is... Okay, I get you, mate. I actually do get you. That's a very good point.
Because Bruce Willis's whole goal throughout that film is he wants to kill those 3 kids to suddenly...
He wants to kill the real man, not all 3. You see him when he...
Yeah, but he knows he might have to kill all 3 in order to... So when he kills all 3, he will suddenly just be back in his universe, his reality, his timeline, because he never would have been sent back in time. Which, okay, but then if that's his goal, we establish that's his goal, when Joseph Gordon-Levitt kills him, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's timeline shouldn't exist anymore. They should bounce back to before that happened.
I confess that you're right. That's a good point.
So, minor issue, right? Minor, usual shit with time travel films that most of them get it wrong. This unfortunately slips in some ways into that. Other bits, it's got some weird sort of pacing problems in terms of how plot elements come in. There's that whole thing about the guy who's trying to hunt him down, who he keeps fucking up, and there's the big boss who's threatening him, and he's panicked about wanting the big boss to like him and to praise him. And then there's the bit where he turns up and sees everybody dead, and he looks at this little X on the wall, and he's like, I know where you are, I'm going to get you. And then it's Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt on one side of the road each. And the guy comes flying out from behind the truck or whatever it is on the bike. This is right at the end. And he starts trying to gun down Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And Joseph Gordon then shoots the ground, smoke comes up to cover him and stuff. Yeah. And then he just shoots him. Joseph Gordon-Levitt just shoots him.
But it's just a build up to nothing.
It's a build up to literally nothing.
Yeah.
And so there's some slight pacing problems in it in that respect. I do love, I think one of my favourite scene in this film, the diner scene, where it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt and it's Bruce Willis, and they're opposite each other, and they're having this conversation about a little bit of like theoretically how time travel works.
The silence at the start.
Bruce Willis just goes, he's asking questions about time, Bruce Willis just goes,
that.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of a message to you as the audience that it doesn't matter, just get on board with it.
I should have, that's how I should have stopped your previous conversation.
You should have done. And then like they're talking about like the future, and he's concerned about his wife, and he's like, oh, well, show me the picture of your wife. And like, no, when I see it, I'm just not going to marry her. And you're like, oh, you dick. And there's lovely back and forth between the two of them. They share screen really well.
There is, I really like that how he almost sees him as like, he sees, oh, you stupid person. It's actually him. I like that. It's actually him.
Yeah. He's kind of acknowledging his own growth.
But it's almost like treats him like a child, like his own kid.
Yeah.
And he also, the other one, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, treats him a bit like, tiny bit of like, not a father, but a father. Yeah. So it must be the weirdest situation.
And I love there's also like, he's looking at him with this age and wisdom and being like, you know, when you look back on yourself when you're like 15, you're like, oh my God.
I don't, he does, because fucking hell.
It's horrible.
What a mess he was.
And then I like that Joseph Gordon-Levitt's looking forward, almost like, oh, you're a disappointment. You should have done better. Like, we should have done it differently.
I like Bruce Willis, and he goes, she sorts you out, she heals you, you know, you look at you, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
because he's a druggie, isn't he? One thing I didn't like was the way that weird futuristic bike looked.
It's odd, isn't it? Because there isn't
I didn't like the graphics. I didn't like the CGI and stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit.
It was
dodgy.
like a bit jumpy at parts.
I know the film's not exactly the highest budget.
Is it not?
Isn't it about 13 million?
Wow, if it is, then that's pretty impressive. 30 million.
30 million, sorry.
Which is a bit more decent.
Which actually, yeah, you could probably get better CG. But yeah, there's also not a lot of other vehicles in the film to like blend the bike with. It's almost like the one bike they have throughout the film.
Yeah, one distinct bike. Overall, though, I thought it was really good.
It is a really enjoyable film. It is a really enjoyable film. It does have that, especially at the end, like I was saying, it's got that feeling of like a Spielberg film in a lot of ways with that kind of self-sacrifice. Oh,
so that's how it's like. Well, I didn't really fully get when you were about Spielberg. I thought you meant in look in terms of the way the action's done. I never understood that. It's just the actual story and the whole meaning behind the film. That's Spielberg.
Yeah. I mean, the look of it isn't very Spielberg. I mean, the look of it almost borderlines sometimes on Michael Bay. I'm not a fan of the color work in this film at all. Like, that's me being a weird cinematography nerd, and like, you don't have to worry about
it. It's no Oh Country Where Art Thou.
No, it's not.
There's knowledge.
But like, this is, I mean, what it does actually do, lots of really nice symmetry in the way they shoot to kind of emphasize that, you know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis are the same person. They do some nice kind of shot work in that.
Given what we spoke about and everything,
yeah.
Do you have high hopes for him doing Star Wars?
I do actually. Do you know what? This week I watched the film that Irvin Kershner did before he did Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
And actually that film showed very, very little promise.
Really?
Very little promise. It's not an amazing piece of work. It's a film called The Eyes of Sarah Mars or something like that. I'll pop a little thing down here, but it's an odd film. Doesn't show a lot of promise. And this actually shows more promise as someone who could direct Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because he kind of like lets the world exist and tells a story within that world, which is really important for Star Wars.
What you really want for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of what Abrams did, because obviously he'd done Star Trek before, and he kind of did it with Star Trek.
Some of the nonchalant way of having like supernatural elements, like the telekinesis, he's so like, it's there, whatever. And that's what you need with like the Force and lightsabers.
No emphasis in this, no emphasis in that, no need to explain.
Exactly.
It's like what Bruce Willis says, you know, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. Good shout. I like that. I'm also very excited as well. And it is rather soon. Is it like 3 weeks?
Couple weeks.
No.
3 or 4 weeks.
To Star Wars?
Yeah, I think so.
It's the 13th or something, is it?
God,
I can't fucking wait. I booked out the IMAX in Newcastle. They've got the 20 quid cinema experience, you know, where you get the free everything.
Yeah, I'm going as well with college.
You doing that?
We're taking some students over there.
Are you doing the big IMAX?
Yeah, IMAX 3D.
I don't know if we'll go 3D. High five for that.
I don't want to go 3D.
Yeah.
I might go see it normal beforehand.
15th it comes
so my
out.
first experience isn't IMAX 3D.
Yeah, 3 weeks on Friday. God, I can't fucking wait. Is it coming out Thursday or Friday?
Surely Friday, is it not? Oh, sometimes the midnights are Thursday, aren't they? And then it comes out on a Friday.
It was Wednesday midnight, I don't know.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Good film.
Good.
I'm well happy with it.
So, that is Looper. And hopefully you're excited for the upcoming Star Wars I was going to say Force Awakens, The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi.
Confusing me a little bit because like we always used to refer to Jedi, Return of the Jedi as being Jedi. Now we can't call that Jedi anymore.
Why?
Because now it refers to 2 films.
Yes.
It's pain. So yeah, hopefully you're excited. We are very excited, clearly. You can join us once again next week for another episode of Film Club, where we are going to be talking about, funny enough, we've been just discussing Steven Spielberg, because we're going to be talking about our very first Steven Spielberg film.
Oh my God, we haven't done any.
Jaws.
Jaws. There we go.
So, thank you very much for joining us, guys. See you all next week.
Cheers.